Right then troops, the situation is I've been tagged by Billy Joe Denny to do a one stick fire. Now I've done something very similar in the past, but it didn't end well, so I'm going to give it a go again, seeing as I've been tagged. So I've got to find my stick, and as I'm in a wood, finding a stick will not be difficult, but finding the right stick will. I'm not exactly sure of the rules of this thing, but presumably I've just got to use the stick I find as the main portion of starting the fire, and possibly to maintain it long enough to give me at least a brew or a fry up. So we'll see. So I'm looking for, I'm not sure how I'm going to start the fire actually, but I want something fairly friable, you know, something like the willow or the poplar, and there should be something just not far around this corner. Right, well here we have a broken down willow, and that is fairly friable, that. In fact, a bit too soft to make a bow drill out of, I would say. But I could get one of the broken branches here, and that would do as the branch or the stick. It's very light. There's not a lot of fuel density there. I think we'll go with that as the stick. I won't take this full stick because I've got to carry it back home through the streets and that. I'll just break a bit off, I think. Right, so this is my stick then. It's very light. It hasn't got a lot of fuel substance about it, but it's big enough, and I should be able to get it started with this. So I'll get this back, but I'm going in a rather circuitous route back because we've only just got out, and the dog does like value for money, as do I. So the way my holidays have fallen, I haven't been at work for about the last 3 weeks, but I happen to fall under the essential services category, so I have to go in tomorrow, and I should be working on my own, or pretty much on my own anyway, so that should be all right. Then I've got 2 days next week, so there'll be a bit of a delay which you won't notice, putting this stick into action and seeing what we can do with it. It's the main road up there, but there's no traffic on it. Main road up there and there's no traffic on it. You see the bridge. Road goes over that bridge. It's ordinarily a very busy road, especially on a bank holiday. We'll be walking down it in a minute anyway. Now just look at this. It's 7:45 on a bank holiday Friday evening, and this is the village bypass. You just can't believe it. It's empty. Again. Ordinarily I wouldn't bother walking down here on an evening. It'd be too busy. Too much traffic. Come on. Good dog. Right, well this is the stick I got, and as you can see I didn't stint myself. It is fairly light though because it's dead willow. You can tell that, it's got a bracket fungus on it there. So I'm going to process this, and the fire will be in the Manticore rocket stove. And we're not going to waste it. We'll make a cup of coffee and then later on I might make the dinner. So that's why we need a fair bit of wood. So there's two tools I like for processing wood. Mainly when I'm out I carry with me a backhoe Laplander folding saw, but if I'm at home I'll use a backhoe hard point carpenter's saw, and this is a very old example, old and rusty example. So I'll just get this processed up a bit and then we'll go into how we're going to actually ignite it. It won't be as I did recently, was take a piece of willow and make a bow drill out of it, because we've done that. We've done that. This is damp and it's just like punk wood. You can dig into it with your nail. I just can't quite break it with my hand. Right, I don't have to break this up too finely because it is friable. I can just snap bits off it, and that'll catch fairly easily if I can get a flame. So the next question is, how are we going to start the fire? Now, preparation does matter a lot, and you want to have enough material on hand to sustain your fire once you get it going. And you want some fairly small stuff to get it going. So I'm just going to scrape some thin pieces . Now this is pretty much punk wood. It's also a bit damp, but it'll soon dry out. So what I've got to do is I've got to get a fair bit of ignition source or flame down into that rocket stove there. Okay, so the method I'm going to use to get the fire started, hopefully, is wire wool and a 9-volt battery. I'm just going to wrap a few bits of this punky type wood in the wire wool, hopefully to help sustain it. I'm going to put my gloves on because things can get hot. Virtually no smoke coming out the top, and there would be no smoke if the wood was dry, but it's actually a little bit damp. So that's it then, the wire wool and the 9-volt battery, which actually works. The wire wool has got to be new wire wool, shiny wire wool, and then it'll get out of control quite quickly, especially if there's a bit of breeze. And there's quite a bit of heat thrown off it as well. So of course you could use a camera battery, a car battery. A lot of batteries will do it. I'm not sure whether a 1.5-volt battery, I'm not sure whether that has enough volts in it. Perhaps it does, just to get it started. Right, so that was the one stick fire, and I needed a big stick because it was fairly punky wood, so hasn't got much substance about it, but that's a very efficient stove for making best use of the fuel, because you get good draft, good combustion, fairly clean combustion, especially if the wood's dry, and you've got all your heat directed to exactly where you want it. So that I used the Manticore knives rocket stove, but it was an interesting method we used. The 9-volt battery in the wire wool, and as long as your wire wool's in reasonable condition, fairly bright, it'll burn really hot and really readily. So I would, if you're going to muck about with it, I would wear gloves, because it can very quickly get very hot. Right, so that was me coffee. Right, just before I go then, I just like to mention that this was an open tag by Billy Joe Denny. He did mention me by name in his description, and one other person as well. I'm just going to leave it open, so you're not on the spot, but if you feel you want to do it, if you feel you want to interpret it in your own way, then you crack on, and I'll catch you all in a week or so.